and welcome to another wonderful episode of 3 Levels Deep. I'm Matt, and I'm joined by Alex.
Hello.
And Santo.
Hello, hello.
And we've got another episode where we're pretty much just going to be talking about some stuff we've been playing. And I think Santo might have some sort of secret segment planned that Alex and I are in the dark about.
Yeah, I did blab like a couple times that I had a secret segment because I was so excited for it. So that's just, I'm just going to set expectations to unattainable right off the bat. But we'll see that as we go along in this podcast.
We're just giving the viewer a reason to stick around to the end of the episode.
Right.
Not the listener, the viewer.
That may be, yes. If they're watching on YouTube, which if you're not, I would suggest doing for reasons that will be apparent later.
Well, I guess I'll start off with Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
It's weird that it's just still called like Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Is that actually the title?
Yeah.
But like, there's so many characters in the game that like, why even say Bros? Like, Super Mario Wonder would probably be better, and that's what everybody's gonna call it anyways.
Yeah, it sounds better too.
You've got 7 characters that play like normal, and then 5 easy mode characters you can play. Mario, Luigi, Peach, Daisy, Blue, a Yellow Toad, and Toadette. And then sadly, all 4 of the Yoshis are easy mode, along with Nabbit. But yeah, Mario Brothers Wonder, it's a Mario game. There's no getting around it. It's a 2D Mario game.
Yeah.
But it's so refreshing. This game is so refreshing just to look at visually, because if you jump back, aside from the jump from like Mario 1 to the Lost Levels, which was 2 originally in Japan, like every other Mario game, 2D Mario game, has like a different art style to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that new Super Mario Brothers art style was kind of, it stuck around too long. It felt like they were just they just kept reusing.
Yeah, people didn't really like it even with the first new Super Mario Bros. People were kind of lukewarm on it. Like, I remember at the time, people were kind of like, it's like a little bit soulless.
Yeah, and then they just rolled with it for 3 more games, which, I mean, I past the one on the DS, I only ever played the...
Only 3?
Yeah, Wii, 2 on the 3DS, and then Mario Brothers U.
New Super Luigi U doesn't count.
Yeah.
The Year of Luigi didn't happen.
Luigi's so upset.
Dr. Luigi?
Luigi's
he got
putting you
sued
on
for
his
medical
list.
malpractice.
Luigi's putting you on his list.
But the biggest thing is like just finally having another change in art style for the 2D game, and just it's just so full of personality compared to what we've had. Not to say that those games were bad. I mean, they were 2D Mario games. They do what they set out to do.
And they introduced multiplayer 2D Mario, which is a gong show.
Especially when you have that 5th person on the gamepad on the Wii U just putting blocks
Oh my god.
to either help or more likely mess with everyone.
Yeah.
But yeah, just Mario Brothers Wonder has so much personality with this new art style. It looks great. It's like, I'm not going to say like it's not revolutionary or anything. It's still a 2D Mario game, but it certainly has a lot of fun with what they're going for, with essentially every level having a drug trip sequence, it almost seems like.
Yeah. That looked strange, for sure. The pipes start getting weird, and flowers are talking to you.
Yeah, well, the flowers are talking to you even without the drug trip sequence. But
listen, those mushrooms they're special.
The years of the shrooms have finally caught up with Mario. But no, they do a lot with those sequence to liven up each level. Just some different stuff. Like there's some where oh, you're a Goomba now. And it's turned in, and there's some actual stealth involved. Or
Metal Gear Goomba.
Or there could just be like a stampede of enemies just going through the level that you're just riding on top of now. Or
you think about it. How many times have we played as Mario's iconic villain, Bowser? But how many times have we played against the iconic Stomper, Goomba? Or Stompy?
Just Odyssey, pretty much.
Odyssey, yeah.
Yeah.
Goomba with a hat.
Mm-hmm. And a mustache.
Yeah, so overall, the game, it's divided up into 6 worlds. And then you've got one central world that kind of connects them all, that at first you'll progress through that world a little bit, and then you go into the second one. But once you've cleared the first 3 worlds, you can kind of just like clear out that world and like go to any of the last 3.
Okay.
But it's also like brought back some stuff from older games. Like you have airship levels again.
Oh, nice.
From Mario 3, and you've got the equivalent of the special world from Mario World with the like really hard levels.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
I will say though, like we're getting shrinkflation in Mario games. Okay, old school Mario 8 worlds. Okay, then stuff kind of moved down to 7. Like how many games had like a very important like 7 worlds or like 7 stars in Paper Mario, whatever. Now we're down to 6. We're down to 6. We're down to 6 worlds, folks. Where's it going to end?
6 in number, 7 with the central hub. But I mean, I haven't beaten it yet. I'm on the 4th world. Who knows? Maybe there's something else awaiting. I don't know. But yeah, no, it's really nice just playing a Mario game again that has its own unique visual style and just feels different from the games that came before it.
Cool.
Now, you haven't yet addressed the elephant in the room.
The power-ups?
Yes.
So you've got the elephant. For new power-ups, you've got the elephant power-up, obviously, where you just get really big, turn into an elephant, and you can hit enemies with your trunk. You can also soak up water, store water in your trunk and then spray that out. You've got the bubble power-up, where you basically shoot out a bubble that'll trap an enemy, and then they just die in it.
Okay.
Just some suffocation, like just horrific death.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you've
Good
got
job, Mario.
the drill hat, which you've got a drill on your head. So enemies from above, they just hit it and die. But you can also ground pound, and the hat will go below you, and then you can just break through some blocks. But you can also dig yourself into the ceiling or floor and just like traverse along inside of the ceiling and floor.
Okay.
And then just like pop out underneath an enemy.
Wow.
I don't know if there's any other new power-ups to come, but those are the ones I've encountered so far. Oh yeah, so the game, I haven't really played with the online. So the online's, you can't even play online with friends. It's just, you see their ghost. You see their live ghost.
Okay, wait, live?
Yeah. You see their live ghost, but you're not actually interacting in any way.
Okay, so can you race?
Yeah.
Then I
think
guess
that's
you
the
can do
point.
races. Yeah.
Point? That would be the only thing I could see that being useful for.
But
when you said ghost, I thought you were talking about like a time
Booze?
trial ghost,
yeah,
which
yeah.
actually would be cool.
Yeah. But this is all. You can also go online and just see like random people's live ghosts as well. Which this is kind of where the game takes some inspiration from the Souls series. In a way.
Listen, we had Mario Odyssey, getting on that open world trend but now the trend is Souls-like. So this is the Mario Souls-like.
So you can see other players passing through your world, and you can actually put down standees, like these little cardboard cutouts that players can actually revive at. if they're playing online and they die, they turn into a ghost, and they can go to another person's standee and be revived. And these standees, there's actually a whole gacha system to get them.
Oh no!
With in-game currency you get and different rarities.
Oh boy!
There's a total of 12 standees for each playable character.
Mm-hmm. So it's just like different poses and stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
different poses, different power-ups. And I think you can even, like in Dark Souls, you can put down messages for other people to see.
Why did they remove the Miiverse? That would have been perfect for it.
I miss Miiverse. Miiverse was great.
Yeah.
I like the Miiverse stage in Smash 4 and just seeing what comes up.
Yeah. That was a good time.
That was a good one. Yeah.
Now, as for the game's difficulty, like, it's not too challenging, I'm finding. I mean, there's certainly some levels, like some of those special stages, that are a little tougher. But, well, I am not in danger of running out of lives because there's two currencies. You've got your regular coins, which just, as usual, once you get to 100, you get a 1-up. But then you've got these purple coins now, which, like, there's just purple coins scattered throughout levels. But then you've also got the big 10 purple coins, and each level has 3 of those. So, like how in past Mario games, you've
the star
had,
coins.
like, yes, the star coins or something else to collect 3 of in a level
It's
for
all
completion.
about those dinosaur coins. Okay, weren't there
5
5
in Super Mario World.
dinosaur coins? Yeah.
But yeah, these give you 10. So, like, you're getting a lot of these purple coins, and those cap out at 999, which I've hit a couple times. And then these are used for buying your standee gacha.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, actually something else I haven't gone to yet. But also for, you can buy 1-ups. So, because I've hit the 999, it's like, well, I might as well spend some of these. So, I've got 99 lives. I'm not in danger of hitting a game over.
Yeah.
But yeah, the other mechanic that just came back to me is you have the badge system, which is you can have one badge equipped, and it can actually alter how the game plays. There are some that are a little more challenging, or, well, not challenging, but they can actually mess with you a little bit. Like, one is spring step. So, like, you're always just bouncing.
Oh, great.
Oh. Is there one where every level is an ice level now? That would be brutal.
Yeah, just
I
like
can't recall.
low friction.
Yeah,
at
there's
least
low friction everywhere.
Of the ones I've encountered so far, I can't say so. But
Can you stack multiple?
no, you can only have one equipped
okay,
at a
'cause
time.
that would be
Ridiculous.
that would actually be, I think, really cool, because it would let people make their own sort of arbitrary, like, challenge sets, like how, and then you could have, like, there was the thing with the Halo speed running with different skulls.
The
and stuff.
skulls. Oh,
That, but with a
Yeah.
combinatorial explosion of different badge. Like, if you could have even 3 badges, like however many badges there are, it would just blow up. There'd be so
Yeah.
many combinations. So yeah, that actually feels like it would be cool to have more than one, but
yeah.
whatever.
So I'm not sure how it works in co-op locally. I'm not sure if every player can have a different badge equipped or not. That's something I need to check out. But so every character, I mean, aside from the easy mode characters who don't get access to power-ups, and the only way they can die is falling down a pit, or I guess into, like, lava or poison swamp or something like that. But yeah, so every character plays the same. So you don't have Luigi, like, with his, like,
Oh, what?
more fluttery jump, but that is a badge you can put on.
That's been the case for the new Super Mario Bros. Games. Like,
Yeah,
that's not that
they've all
surprising.
been playing the same.
Has it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't float as Princess. Or,
Okay, I
maybe
thought I remembered...
in blah, 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 3D World. They play differently.
Yeah, 3D
Yeah,
World,
3D World they played
Because
differently.
Toad runs the fastest.
Yeah.
Toad runs the fast. Yep, Toad runs the fastest.
And Rosalina has like a really good float.
I kind of don't know. Yeah, I don't get why they're removing that personally, but I always like that. I always thought that was a nice sort of thing for flavor, especially when there's multiple characters. So you
differentiate them.
Yeah, and if you really want to let people play as the same character, just give them different costumes. How many costumes did Mario have in Odyssey?
I mean,
There's even
a lot.
There was even a Luigi costume.
I mean, my favorite speedrun category for Mario Odyssey is the nipple percent speedrun.
What?
How fast you can get to Mario without his shirt on.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's funny. That would actually be really funny if you had all the characters with their unique abilities, and then they have alternate costumes, and just everyone gets the Luigi costume. You got Mario Luigi, Luigi, Peach Luigi, Daisy Luigi, Toad Luigi.
But yeah, so just for some of the other power-ups, you've also got one that's like when you're in the air, you can just hold down the button and hold a big hat above them, and then they'll just like slowly float down.
Okay.
So you can like kind of increase like your distance by just floating down further. You've got one that allows you to get a vertical jump off of a wall jump once, as opposed to like just the immediate like jumping off the wall. You can get so you can get higher up on the wall first. But yeah, there's definitely some more that are slipping my mind right now, but there's a decent amount of them, and I don't have all of them unlocked yet. I still have quite a few to get. But yeah, they can definitely change up how it plays, and yeah, I really do need to check and see if each character in co-op can have a different.
If they
one
can
or
have
not.
different ones, that would be pretty crazy. Because then, like, you could emulate, the characters having different abilities.
Yeah, you could give Luigi
with their canonical things.
You give Luigi the floaty jump. Give Peach like a Peach Daisy like a float, hold and float kind of thing. Yeah,
Mario gets nothing.
that's right.
Oh yeah, there's one that gives you a faster sprint.
Yeah.
And then there's one that actually allows you to get for a short time after like just being in the air, it gives you a jump. So you can actually kind of just run off, get a little lower, and then jump.
Oh.
But yeah, no, they certainly there's definitely a lot of them.
So a double jump, but only when you fall off.
Or no, it might
It's just
be
like a delayed single jump.
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's also like a safety one where you get like there's a safety one that gives you a recovery like one time in a level if you fall down a pit, I think. But yeah, no, I'm just trying to recall some of these, but they're slipping my mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot. Yeah, that's Mario Wonder.
Nice.
Sounds wonderful.
All right, and that's pretty much the only thing you've been playing recently?
About the only other thing I can possibly say is my update to my top score in Watermelon game, which I am now up to 2,623.
You're getting closer to 3,000.
Yep. And I feel like it could be possibly getting an English eShop release soon, because while in the game it's still all in Japanese, the tile on the Switch with its name now actually just says Watermelon Game instead of just being in Japanese. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's about it for me.
All right. Well, I've got a few games that I have been playing. The first one I'll talk about is F-Zero 99.
Oh,
I don't really have that
right.
much to say about it.
Yeah, no, I've played a bit too. That kind of slipped my mind, actually. Yeah.
It's a goddamn mess, and I love it.
Yep.
It's 99 cars with collision, just bumping around, and the bumping in F-Zero is super relevant, not just for like, bump people into obstacles or anything like that, but you have a health meter or that also acts as your boost meter in F-Zero. So if you're bumping people, then your health/boost goes down. So you gotta like be careful about that. But also bumping creates these little pieces of energy on the field that you collect, and once you get enough of them, you go onto the Skyway, which is like a separate raceway above the F-Zero track that is basically like the rubber banding mechanic for people that are behind to get closer up, because if people are bumping, they leave that energy for the people behind them to get. And then there's like NPC cars even that show up, that bumping those creates even more energy to go up into the Skyway. So
Yeah.
like they'll just, as those ones go forward, like they'll just drop little bits of that energy. But if you go up and like actually ram into them, it just drops a lot for you to just pick up.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting way that they, kind of fleshed out the mechanics of F-Zero to make it possible for 99 people to play it and have fun with it. I haven't played too many races. I did get 4th once. That's my best so far. I would have gotten 3rd, but somebody skywayed just in front of me at the end of the finish line. I'm like, damn it. Which, honestly, getting 4th surprised me because I'm terrible at F-Zero. OG F-Zero controls weird. Like, there's, like, sliding and stuff, and it's difficult, for sure. And also, you can still go out of bounds, just insta-lose on certain stages, so you gotta be careful about that, too. Like, I tried to,
like falling off, like a jump.
Yeah, like, when you jump, you have a decent amount of air control, but that means you can, put yourself above a pit. Or you might get bumped towards the pit.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can still bump people midair. So
so it's really fun. I'm super glad it came out because this shows that Nintendo knows F-Zero exists. Hopefully, that means that new F-Zero might be on the horizon.
Well, actually, while we're on the 99 train, I'm not sure if it's been shut down yet or if it's soon, but they are or have already shut down Pac-Man 99.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yep.
Did you not know that was a thing?
No. Why did they shut it down?
Oh, I don't know. They shut down Mario 35. If not enough people are playing it, then how do you get a match together?
Yeah, I guess.
Tetris 99 is still going strong.
Yep.
Still getting to a match of that real easy.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm always kind of sad when like multiplayer games go offline and then it's just like you can't even play it anymore.
Yeah,
the experience is just lost.
One I'm really upset about is like they delisted earlier this year and it's going off in December. Bad Company 2.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to check out BattleBit. I've heard that that's pretty good. It's like low poly style, but it's apparently pretty in the vein of like classic Battlefield. But because it's low poly, it's something stupid like 128 or maybe even 256 players a match.
Oh boy!
Like just huge.
We're getting up to the
numbers.
mag numbers.
Yeah, yeah, but that's the thing. We have all this horsepower in these machines, and okay, yeah, you could bump the graphical fidelity, sure, but you could also just bump the numbers, and I feel like bumping the numbers is way more fun.
Yeah.
I would take more lower fidelity games.
If they do something interesting.
Yeah.
Because they're low fidelity.
Yeah. Well, and like we've played a lot of, well, maybe not a lot, but we've played a good amount of Deep Rock Galactic. And that game has a nice low poly aesthetic. I think it looks good. But I guarantee you that the reason they went with a low poly aesthetic is because they wanted destructible terrain.
Yeah, and that's so much easier to do when you can just carve out triangles.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, you've got these procedurally generated environments too. And again, if you do that in a low poly way, it's just easier. So it makes a lot of things that would be really, really challenging, within the realm of possibility. So I remember back in the day, oh man, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. Like, they literally put this in, like, the promotional materials because they could fill the screen with more enemies than any other game because it's all flat.
Yep.
Which is actually kind of funny because there's, like, not actually a lot of places in the game where they use that, but they were still, like, it's on the back of the box. Yeah. Hundreds of enemies or something ridiculous.
Oh, man. There's some good back-of-the-box quotes. Most of them escape me right now. On the flip side of, just taking... making a game, more low poly, low fidelity to make it more interesting, we have the exact opposite side of that spectrum, which is Diablo IV, which is where they made things too high fidelity for very little actual gain. I talked about this a little bit a couple episodes ago, but I've played more of it now and have a firm opinion on the game at this point, and that I'm worried that maybe Diablo 2 wasn't good. that maybe because the things that I don't like about this game, some of them are specific to Diablo 4 for sure, but there's some stuff I'm like, if I went back and played Diablo 2, would I actually enjoy it, or did I just like it because I was a teenager and had time? I think Diablo 4 is just boring. It's a very boring game. I don't think that any real portion of the gameplay is particularly engaging at all, and there's a couple different reasons for that. The first is that it just feels like a treadmill of checkboxes, just like side quest upon side quest upon main quest. Just go here, do one of the three things, like protect a place, kill a thing, collect a thing. Like, just very basic game design stuff. Like, I didn't run into any quests that I felt were interesting from a gameplay perspective, and I didn't care really about the tone or the world at all, because it's just like, oh, this realm is just awful, like everything sucks. That's not fun to me. That's why I don't like Fallout. It's like post-apocalypse or just like horrible demon-infested snowy place. Like, that's not interesting to me.
Yeah, I never really played a lot of Diablo, and the only bit of Diablo I have played was mostly actually Diablo 1. But I remember with Diablo 1, like, some of the bosses, it was like, the game doesn't really throw you into like, oh yeah, you're gonna kill all this evil, like, it kind of grounds it in a little bit more like mundane stuff almost initially. Like, I remember one of the earliest bosses is the Butcher, and the Butcher isn't portrayed as like, oh yeah, this is a demonic hell being. It's just like, or maybe it is and I'm just forgetting, but it seemed like it was a more like low level, just evil kind of, this dude is like a psychotic murderer in the community.
In the community.
You gotta go deal with him for our town, but it's not this, like, I don't know, it felt like it was setting it up in a way where it kind of made you care a little bit more about it, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I'm also gonna be honest, I've never really been a huge fan of Diablo, and when you say maybe Diablo 2 sucked, I'm like, yeah, it did suck.
I was playing some Diablo 1 like a couple months ago, and I don't know, I was having trouble getting into it.
Yeah. Like, I remember we played Torchlight co-op a bit, and I only played that because we were doing it as a group. I really just don't like the genre.
Well, I think that there's things that can do well that the only evidence I have is my memory of Diablo 2. So, one of the reasons why I don't think I felt any kind of attachment to this world at all is because I was largely trying to speedrun it because of the horrible gameplay structure of it, where they decided to make this game a seasonal game, where there will be different seasons of content, and the expectation is that you make a new character every season.
Right.
Now, to access the seasonal content, you have to beat the campaign first. So I was just trying to rush through the campaign as fast as I could, but this game moves pretty slowly. You don't get a mount to make things go faster for a while, and other games didn't need a mount. So I just found myself skipping cutscenes, skipping dialogue, just trying to get through everything that I could to get to what's supposed to be the real meat of the game. And also, I was trying to get there to play multiplayer, because to play the seasonal content with other people, again, you have to be able to access it in the first place. So you got to beat the campaign first. And so
wait, do you have to beat the campaign to get multiplayer?
No, you have to beat the campaign to get to the seasonal content.
Play seasonal.
The stuff that they're going to implement over time. And it just felt like a really bad experience, because imagine you wanting to play, somebody who's played this game for a while wanting to play this game with somebody else that hasn't played it after release, which is what happened to me. To get to the juicy stuff, you have the new stuff. You have to beat the campaign first on your own. Now, I could beat the campaign with you, but then I'd be replaying, 40 hours of content or whatever, because this game's bloated to hell.
Can you skip the campaign on a new character to just get to the seasonal content?
Yes, if you beat the campaign once, then you can skip the campaign to get to the seasonal content.
Okay, because I one of the few things I do know is that to get the seasonal content, each season you have to run it with a new character. So
yeah, you don't have to play through the entire campaign before doing that. That'd be unplayable. Who would do that? And after a season's done, the character that you made for that season gets shifted to what they call the Eternal Realm. And I haven't actually kept up with it. I think that their first season has ended at this point. So I don't know if that seasonal content is still available or not for you to play. I don't know. I should have looked that up before this podcast, but I didn't. But I'll get to the real big systemic problem with Diablo IV, and that's that Blizzard decided to pull inspiration from MMOs, because they made World of Warcraft the most successful one ever. So the bosses feel a lot more like raid bosses, where you are they'll have different phases. They'll have different points where if you do enough damage, then they'll drop health potions and stuff like that. And a lot of focus on area damage. Well, they'll mark an area there will be damage here. You better not be there. And each character has a dodge that they can do. So they wanted the game to feel a little bit more action-y, which it feels more action-y, but feels worse in a lot of ways because of that. There are a lot of different zones with a little level marker next to them, but even after you've leveled up past the level where your stuff is at, enemies scale with you, so encounters still feel like kind of a bore, because there's not a proper scaling. Okay, I shouldn't use it. There's not a proper difficulty curve. Let's go with that. I really just didn't like how that felt. Whereas okay, I get to a new area and all the enemies are the exact same level. It's gonna take the same amount of effort to kill these mobs as it is any other mob, and things just didn't feel great. You also have to unlock the higher difficulties. You have to beat the campaign first again. Mm-hmm. So it's and the higher difficulties is when bosses start having or elite enemies start having auras that affect the mobs that they're with and stuff like that. Which, Diablo 2 did that by default and made the combat a little bit more interesting. Each mob with an elite enemy might be different. This entire mob might be lightning enchanted or something like that, and that's a lot more interesting than a bunch of vanilla creatures that the only difference is they might have more health.
Yeah, that feels like a huge mistake to make the game forcibly more boring to play on your first playthrough.
Yeah,
because a lot of people are not going to play the game more than once.
Well, that's I don't know about that. See, some people will probably pick it up and play it because Diablo's a big franchise, Blizzard's a big developer. They might play it once, and then I think those are the people that might not play it more than once anyways. Whereas there are some people that are going to obsessively play this, and it'd be the only thing that they play, in which case, who cares? It's still a dumb design decision. I don't know why they did that. Like, yes, like having auras that affect the entire mob, that is something that makes the game more difficult, but locking that behind a difficulty just feels off. I know I really dislike difficulty settings that are just, crank the numbers and don't do anything different. But this is a bad example of that because they're taking away a gameplay feature on the lower difficulties instead of doing something more interesting with like AI or like enemy AI or stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think that you've kind of talked about this a lot where like, a good example is something like Fire Emblem where hard mode is different enemy placement or
different enemy placement, different enemy types.
Different types, yeah.
Even different placement for your initial deployment on some maps.
Yeah.
So like those 4 different difficulties in that game feel very different.
It changes the tactics that you need to use as opposed to just like making it take longer to kill enemies or whatever.
Yeah, it's always frustrating when you see difficulty settings in the game and they have listed what's different, and it's just like enemies have 50% more health, they do 20% more damage, and they're like 10% faster. It's like, come on, really?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, that just feels like in a game that's it feels like that should be like a fairly core mechanic to just keep the game interesting.
Yeah, but
it would be like would you lock armor? Would you lock your inventory to higher difficulties?
I don't know.
Or would you or like some games take the opposite effect where like they remove like I don't see it as that much different than games that remove options from the player for higher difficulties, which is also, I think, kind of frustrating.
It can be. Sometimes that works really well. For example, Marvel's Midnight Suns, on the lower difficulties, you have a number of revives on your characters. And as you get into higher difficulties, your number of revives goes down until eventually it reaches 0. So that does change the way that you have to approach levels in some cases, where you have to focus a little bit more on, self-preservation over just trying to kill everything as fast as you can.
Yeah, I guess
it can work well, but I agree sometimes it is frustrating.
Yeah, okay, removing revives, I feel like revives are a crutch anyway. Like, I don't know, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but like I feel like removing a crutch feature, I feel like it's usually fine. Mm-hmm. But something like preventing your characters from having like items, like passive effects, things like that, like inventory.
Yeah, so like
that would be weird. I think I swear I remember seeing that in some game once.
Resident Evil 1 Remake does something where of the 2 characters, one of them has less inventory slots. Mm-hmm. So it makes it, for having to play it smarter, like what do I need to solve this puzzle, and can potentially make for more backtracking. So you have to play a little smarter with having the less inventory slots.
Yeah, but no, that's what a more recent game we had where that was the case with Shotgun King, and on the higher difficulties you lose the ability to like have these like interesting ability slots, but that was like kind of like a really core part of the game. It felt like, I don't know. It just, it felt like maybe it felt like it made gameplay less dynamic, which is awful. And this feels like it's in that same vein. Like it makes the gameplay less dynamic. If
on the lower difficulty in this case,
yeah, you're making the gameplay less dynamic on the lower difficulty, which is like, I don't know.
Yeah,
but especially because those higher difficulties are locked, feels weird.
Yeah,
especially in a game like Diablo, because if you've been with the series for a while, but you're a bit older and you don't have time, and Diablo is an old franchise, there's people that are probably wanting to play it and just don't have time to play it more than once. But they're still, they've played enough Diablo that they want to play it on a higher difficulty. Like, I don't know, it just feels weird.
Yeah. like locking difficulties behind playthroughs just feels like such dated game design.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 16 did that recently too, with only having one difficulty to start.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
weird.
I don't like unless it's a short game or like a roguelike thing where there's like a tight game loop. I really don't like it.
And the last thing I want to talk about in Diablo 4 is I think the loot is really, really badly implemented in the game because they made the loot really modular. And I think that is worse because I think that restriction is good in video games. So the system that they used for it really only matters for the legendaries, which are like the lower rarity things is just like, okay, either they have one like little tacked on stat thing to them, or they have two, or they have three. The legendaries is where they start modifying your abilities and stuff like that. So the system that they went with was there's a ton of different dungeons in the game, and after you beat a dungeon, you get what's called an aspect that may or may not modify one of your abilities or an ability for a different class. And you can put those on legendaries and take what's already on them off and put that on other legendaries. So, and the aspects that you get from the dungeons are usually like a slightly scaled down version of what you might find on a piece of loot. But what this does is that instead of me finding new loot and wanting to experiment with different abilities, because respecking is, that's one good things that they did in this game, is that respecking is quite easy and not very costly. So instead of me wanting to see, oh, this seems like an interesting effect on ability, let me change my skill tree to match that, I can just say, well, this has better base stats than this other legendary, let me take the aspect off of that other legendary and put it on this one. And so it makes it so that getting any individual piece of loot isn't very exciting. Like when a legendary drops, that should be exciting. It's not. Because I can just put whatever the hell I want on it instead of, being excited for the thing that I got and potentially modify my playstyle to do it.
Yeah, as someone who played a lot of Destiny and Destiny 2 in the past, like that's kind of the whole point of that type of thing, is like the role you get is supposed to be the role you get. And like part of it's supposed to be like, oh, like trying to grind out for a better role for something.
Yeah,
really.
I totally understand why people don't think that's good game design. That like, oh, I spent all this time and I got this thing that I don't even want. But that's, at the same time, you're making it like a very like static like level of low excitement instead of like big highs and big lows. You're never going to get a moment in Diablo 4 where a piece of loot dropped that was sick as hell and you want to tell that to people, because you can just modify what's on it to whatever the hell you want pretty much. So
okay, does sorry, maybe I missed this. Does like a legendary item have more slots though?
A legendary item has a slot for these aspects, which are the things that modify your abilities. Everything else is just like, like extra range damage or take less lightning damage and just like very generic modifiers, where like a legendary will have like 4 of those, and then plus this slot for an aspect that might make your like big like giant ballista bow shot like split into multiple arrows when it hits enemies, like something like that. That's a cool ability that I like to use, so I just put that on everything that I got from then on. And Diablo also has gems and like slots to put gems in, which also like add additional basic modifiers to your gear, but those are entirely modular now, where you can like take them in and out. You can like add slots to stuff. That was another thing in Diablo 2 where that wasn't the case. You put a gem in a slot, you committed to that. That gem is now on that equipment. You can't put anything else in there. You can't take it out. You can't add slots to equipment. So it made you commit your resources instead of just like mixing and matching and stuff like that. So I felt no attachment to the loot I was earning in this game.
Yeah.
Where that's supposed to be the point, in my opinion.
Yeah, whereas in Destiny 2, like, you get a good roll on a weapon, and it's like, oh, I'm going to roll with this.
Mm-hmm. And, even stuff like Borderlands, like
Yeah.
getting a really rare weapon that had like a crazy effect, that was a important moment in the loop, in the gameplay loop of that game.
Yeah.
But this just doesn't have that.
I mean, it's always tough because, when you have... It's a tough balance because if you have upgradable stuff and you commit those resources, then they're gone, and then you can't... Then were you better off saving them for later? And,
Yeah, but...
I don't know. Diablo, I think, handles that fine because it has an inventory that forces you to use stuff since you cannot carry everything. But,
yeah, I mean, well, you have a stash back at base that you can just chuck stuff in.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
In Diablo 4, it's just like, my inventory's filled up, town portal, back to base, go drop it off in my stash, go back to where I was exactly in the same spot in the dungeon that I was in, or whatever. And
are the
like
town
nothing.
portals not limited anymore?
Nope.
Really?
Oh.
I remember even in... Yeah. I
In
mean,
Diablo
that,
2 they were, yes.
Yeah, that was a big deal. It's like, oh, do I really want to use this portal scroll? Like, I don't have that many of them.
Yeah, and also Diablo 2 had the unidentified items where you had to like spend, identify scrolls. You had to spend currency to figure out, is this like sick or not? They have that in Diablo 4 with a specific shop where you spend a specific currency, but again, it's not like these are things that are dropping from enemies that you're like, oh, I can't wait to identify this and see if it's sick or not.
You know what's funny is it honestly it sounds like Diablo's falling for a similar problem that WoW fell for, where a lot of people don't actually like WoW anymore because the problem is that the game was made so streamlined that it's boring, and Blizzard ended up going and re-releasing WoW Classic.
Yeah.
Specifically because people were like, actually it turns out that a bunch of the like awkward annoyances end up creating the meaningful gameplay, and by streamlining it all out, it just becomes boring.
Yeah. And,
but they seem to have made the same... It sounds like they've made a very similar mistake with Diablo.
yeah. And something else that's interesting to me, though, is that I think like the whole modular loot thing, I think there's a decent amount of people that really want that, though, because I don't know if you've read any of like the comments on the Darktide patches and stuff like that. Like every patch they release, the comments, some of them are just people saying rock and stone because they're dunking on the game for not being Deep Rock Galactic, which is funny.
That is funny, yeah.
A bunch of them are asking for features that they promised for release that haven't been implemented a year into this game's release. But a lot of them are people saying that the loot system is broken because they played a mission and they got a crappy gun that they didn't like. It's like, do you not understand what the loot system is? And Darktide has implemented a lot of the same stuff, kind of the same stuff that Diablo 4 has, where it's like very modular now, where it's just like, okay, you want the specific blessing on a weapon, you can just sacrifice a weapon that has that blessing and then put it on other stuff. And it's like, that's less interesting because I'm not running with what the game gives me and kind of changing my playstyle often. It's just, okay, lock into the one thing that I know I really like and go from there.
I wonder how much of that carries over from Diablo Immortal.
I have no idea.
I mean...
I also haven't played Diablo 3, which... For all I know, a ton of these things could have been implemented in Diablo 3, and I just completely missed it. I know that the role was implemented in Diablo 3, for example.
All I know about Diablo 3 is the cash money, real money auction house.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, which I think that was actually what contributed to the console versions of the game being better.
Yeah.
I did play some 3, but I can't really remember much about it right now.
I mean, I don't know. Like, the thing is, I understand why, like, the modular... I understand why people want that. And I think there's two, like, kind of reasons, right? One of them is just that if you've put all the time into the game, like, there's a feeling that you should be able to put the time in and get what you want, right? And some people just get completely hosed by RNG.
True.
And that sucks, right? Like, I think Darktide's honestly not that bad. But also I feel like the blessings don't even, like, make I feel like most of them,
everything's so like small
Yeah.
in that game, but how they
Yeah.
modify things, except for like the few that are apparently broken. That I don't
the
really care about.
modifiers on dark type weapons are like they're not actually big enough to matter to really get so upset about it. And if you're just complaining that you haven't gotten your plasma gun yet, like you haven't played enough.
Well, they implemented this where you can just buy
And
a
they
very
changed it
basic
anyway.
version
And
of
they changed
any
it anyway.
weapon. So
Yeah. So, which is actually a good idea. Like just being able
That's
to buy
fine, yeah.
a basic version of the gun actually makes sense.
yeah, that's
So,
fine.
so that was good. But like the thing that I think about more is like Noita, because in Noita, really the whole thing in that game is like about building your wand out and finding cool spells and putting them together on your wand.
Yeah, but
And like really customizing it. But like I feel like it's way different there just because
you can customize everything.
Yeah.
There's so many options that meaningfully interact
Yeah,
in
and they-
interesting ways.
Yeah,
which is not the case for
and that's the
these
thing.
things.
Like they interact with each other. That's I think maybe what's missing, because if you don't have interaction between these different like modular upgrades for your weapons, then like what's the point?
Yeah, like in Diablo, like the gems that I put into this thing they're only like slight power ups. They're not going to fundamentally change how this weapon works. Even the aspects fundamentally change how a skill works.
Yeah. I think
But that's it.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I don't know if you can do that in Diablo.
Probably not.
Like, I think that if you started doing stuff like that, it would not be the same game anymore. Like, not even close. Because if you have any sort of interesting interaction between, like, a customizable weapon, the game then becomes about exploiting that to create busted weapons. And it just won't be Diablo at that point, I don't feel like.
Yeah.
You'd have to because then you'd have to change how the world is set up to have areas that are like crazy difficult unless you've built like really great weapons,
That's fine in my opinion.
which would be fine. Like maybe that would be fine,
Like-
but it here's the problem though. It changes the game substantially to the point where it starts impacting their revenue model. Like because now you have areas that are essentially skill gated. And maybe you could buy crazy weapons. I don't know. Like, I'm sure they could make it work, but it would be a different game, I think.
all the money stuff is more for cosmetics and stuff. Like cosmetics for your mount. Again, that's another thing that I kind of glossed over why I said like MMO inspiration.
Oh,
They put mounts in this
cosmetics for your
game
mount, yeah.
specifically as a thing to drive people buying shit.
Yeah.
Like clearly, there's no reason for you to walk so bloody slowly most of the time and have to resort to this mount, except for the fact that that's what MMOs do.
Well, it also doesn't even make sense because if you have unlimited portals, it's like, huh?
Yeah, it's just tedium.
Why do you
to
even
get-
need a mount if you have unlimited portals? It doesn't even make sense.
Well, if you want to go to new areas.
Yeah, okay, but then why is your new area so boring that you need to run through it with a mount?
Exactly.
If I'm in a new area...
Because all the mobs are the exact same. Or I
Like,
just go, I press 1, and then I press 3, and then I press 2, and then I press 4, and then the mob is dead.
If I'm exploring a new area, it should actually be interesting.
Yeah. So that's about it for Diablo 4. I'm done playing it. I don't want to play it anymore. I didn't actually even finish the campaign to get onto the season stuff. I literally got to the last act and then just stopped caring. And the one person I was playing it with also stopped caring.
Okay, that is. Oh, you both stopped playing before you finished it?
No. Norris finished the campaign, I believe, but he was waiting for me to, and I just couldn't be asked.
Because I was gonna say, if neither of you've actually finished the game despite getting to the last act, that would be that's still pretty bad that you just dropped it that far in.
Like
Anyway,
I really like finishing games, but even that, I was just like, no, there's no point. So there's 2 more games that I played a bit of. So Fire Emblem came to the Nintendo Switch Online, so I beat that twice. Well, that's actually a game where you have to unlock the higher difficulties. So I played through a couple of the easier ones, and that game's still awesome. And playing through the easier difficulties, which I haven't done in a while, just feels like an old school like StarCraft comp stomp, where you're just like you just destroying like the weak AI because like you get so much experience and your characters are so powerful.
Well, you've played that. How many times have you beaten that campaign?
Over a dozen.
Yeah.
And the last one.
How long until you just have the muscle memory to beat the campaign?
Yeah, it's what you telling me to do a blindfold run?
Yeah.
No, that'd be too difficult. I don't have the memory to be able to do that. So the last game that me and Alex have played a bit of that we're not going to go into depth here because we haven't played enough of it was Wargroove 2 that released. We've played a little bit of it, but we'll talk about that in another episode. Right?
Yeah, we've played a bit. I like what I've seen so far.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I just haven't spent enough time with either the multiplayer or I haven't spent enough time with kind of like the new stuff. I feel like what I've played I've liked, but what I've played has mostly just been new campaign.
Yeah, and the campaigns, they dole parts of the game out fairly slowly, which I personally like.
Yeah.
And there's also the Conquest mode, which is new, which is kind of like a roguelike kind of thing.
Yeah, I've played I played actually more Conquest mode during the beta.
Yeah, I played through it once at like 2 a.m. to prepare for this podcast, beat like the easiest difficulty, and then the game crashed. So I was like, okay, I'm done prepping. The game clearly doesn't want me to play anymore. So we'll go more in depth on that next episode.
Stay tuned for that groovy episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time for the secret segment. So I don't know about you guys, but how many gaming magazines did you guys read growing up?
Ooh. Are we including strategy guides?
No.
Okay, because I probably had more strategy guides than actual gaming magazines when I was a kid.
I was subscribed to Nintendo Power for like 2 years during the Wii and DS era.
Same. I mean, that was specifically because of our school band.
Yeah. Outside of that, not really anything else for me. Though I was subscribed to Lego Magazine for years.
Ooh, okay, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I think I don't think I ever had a subscription to a gaming magazine, but I would occasionally just read them at the store or on the ferry. Or just like go into the ferry shop and like just
flip
read
through
magazines.
them on the rack.
Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't really have a subscription to any myself as a kid, but one of my brother's friends like had a ton of like Nintendo Powers and PlayStation magazines or whatever that they just like gave to us. It was a big box of a lot of gaming magazines, and old school gaming magazines. There's a lot of charm in them. They're like time capsules in a way, but the way in which I think they are the best time capsules is the advertisements.
Oh, this is going exactly where I thought it was.
Yes. So I would like to introduce a new segment to the podcast that I like to call Attitude. Because we are going to be going over some old video game ads. Now, I'm
Attitude era of video games, if you will.
I'm going to be describing ads based on some of the text and maybe some of the visuals. I'm not going to show you them, and you're going to have to guess which game they are.
Oh, I like this.
Okay.
So the first one I should mention, I am using the website retrobags.com, which has a large collection of old game magazines, and they literally have a specific section on the website for advertisements,
Nice.
which was very helpful for finding this guy's up. So the first one I have is in like a kind of like Roman engraved font. Like this looks like Trajan Pro with some beveling.
Bevels? Okay, Bevels dates it, I feel like.
It says Kickamus Maximus Buttimus. What game is this?
Rome Total War.
Oh.
I feel like there's actually not that many. Like, considering the outsized influence of Rome in history and like how common it is in like history books and like popular media, it's not actually a common setting for video games.
I want to say like I can't think of anything, but some kind of like Roman themed fighting game.
Okay, so you're both way off. This is EA Sports Madden NFL 2001.
What?
Oh.
Are you kidding me?
Which, in fairness, is much better than the NHL 2001 one, which was Edimus Maximus Puckamus.
What the heck? What are you doing, EA? This is ridiculous.
Yeah. So next we have.
Okay, well, I'm gonna take solace in that I'm sticking by Rome games. It's weirdly, actually, not that common.
Yeah, I mean they mostly just get like wrapped into other just kind of history games like Age of Empires and crap like that, or Rise of Nations and stuff. Which I don't know if Rise of Nations had Rome stuff in it. Okay, so the next one, it's big letters that says Ogopogo lives. Will you? And it's got two big claws that are coming out of the page at you.
What? Ogopogo is Okanagan specific, though, isn't it? What would this be an ad for? A monster game?
Oh.
You're probably not going to get most of these. A lot of these are really difficult because the point I'm trying to make here is that old gaming ads were insane. It had nothing to do with games.
Okay.
Just chuck out a name at this point.
I'm going to say...
I'm even okay with you just chucking out a franchise.
For some reason... Oh, I got a game. What is that? I feel like it's a basketball game. I don't know why. But you know that basketball game with... Oh, wait. No, you know what? Turok. I'm going to go with Turok.
Okay.
That has dinosaurs. That's kind of close to Ogopogo.
Yeah. Dino Crisis.
Oh, Dino Crisis.
You are both wrong. This is Final Fantasy II.
What?
Because, listen, Final Fantasy, along with a lot of RPGs, just grab mythology from everywhere to use for their enemies.
Yeah.
Therefore, Ogopogo, apparently.
Ogopogo. That's so niche,
That's
right?
so
niche.
I picked this one because of where we are in the world. That's local to BC.
Yeah, that's local to BC, and I feel like it's not well known outside of BC either.
I feel like everyone outside of BC just knows Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah, Loch Ness Monster for sure.
Yeah.
But Ogopogo, what?
Okay. The next...
Also, what even... this is really random for Final Fantasy II. I don't know.
You think you can handle Ogopogo, huh? Well, if he doesn't slice you and dice you, there are 200 other voracious creatures who will gladly devour you for lunch. Burp. That's more text on the ad. Okay, the next one I have, it's a series of words that are crossed out. Heroin, S&M, unfiltered cigs, binge drinking, creamed corn, one-night stands. And after that it says, hell, what's left? And it has the game name, it says, the most addictive and still good for you, blank, 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 blank game.
I'm going to say Duke Nukem.
That sounds like a good guess, but I feel like it... Yeah, Duke Nukem.
Okay, you're wrong. It's XCOM Apocalypse.
XCOM? What?
Microprose.
What are you doing, Microprose?
Strategy games are addicting. What? That's what they went with here.
I
they're
guess
not wrong.
that's what they're... Yeah, I guess that's what
This makes more sense than the other two.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, they're technically correct in that none of those things are in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I like creamed corn, but how's it addicting?
I mean, I feel like they threw that one in there for comedy's sake.
Yeah, that's the comedy. It's like the murder, arson, and jaywalking TV tropes.
Yeah. All right. Okay, this next one I feel like you might be able to get. It's kind of looks like a page out of like a high school notebook or something like that. All right, so it's blank, featuring some of the biggest lowlifes ever. They may look dumb, but these guys are big and in your face. No sissy side view perspectives. Even worse, they each got their own dirty style they're going to figure out before you can kick their butts. Sounds like fun? You bet your last few remaining teeth, because you know there's nothing like being the snot of a big old ugly guy, although Anita the Groin is pretty cool too. Only for Super Nintendo.
Super Nintendo.
I was thinking River City Ransom, but Super Nintendo.
I was thinking like some kind of early 3D brawler, but now I'm...
No sissy side view perspectives now.
But
River City Ransom is side view.
Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Was there some kind of first-person dungeon crawler on the Super Nintendo? Like, that's the only... Oh, man, what was that? Okay, I don't think this was on the Super Nintendo, but there was... wait a minute. Punch-Out? Was there a Punch-Out on the Super Nintendo?
Super Punch-Out?
Correct, it's Super Punch-Out.
Oh, what?
Yeah, this is a first-party Nintendo ad.
No way. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, this doesn't surprise me. I mean, just look at how things got like in the ads between Nintendo and Sega.
I mean, I guess 90s Nintendo did get...
Nintendo of America.
Yeah.
Important.
Okay,
90s
that's true.
Nintendo
of America.
The offices of 90s Nintendo of America had a Sonic plush hanging from a noose.
Oh my god.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah.
Is this before or after Reggie?
Before.
Yeah. Reggie came in class to join up. Okay.
Oh, man.
So the next one, oh, right. This one's going to be long. Okay. This one you're not going to get because it's like, it feels like a bait and switch. All right. Blazing fast animation and realistic moves make this game one to beat. Use all your fighting skills, for each villain is huge and dangerous. Choose from among 3 fighting heroes, each with his own unique style of fighting. Use fists and feet to defeat all foes, but beware, your enemies possess hidden powers that defy the forces of nature, capitalized, itself. Witness themselves hurling energy blasts, tornadoes, even turning their entire bodies into human torches. And as you pound them one by one, waiting and watching as the big boss himself, the strongest and meanest foe of all. Realistic characters, multiple action moves, special skills, all this combined with lightning speed to create the perfect blank game. What is this game?
Okay,
What genre do you think this
I feel
game
like
is?
this is a beat 'em up.
Okay, it sounds... No, you know...
I was thinking fighting game until you said choose from 3 characters. So that kind of puts me more in the, like, just side-scrolling beat 'em up camp.
For some reason, I feel like it's an RPG. I don't know why.
Is that just because I said it was a bait and switch?
Well, also it's got magic. Like,
Now that's an interesting question on what constitutes the characters in Fatal Fury.
Wait, what?
Okay.
So, yeah, the original Fatal Fury only had 3 playable characters from the player side, which was Terry, Andy, and Joe. You fought everybody else from Fatal Fury. But, like, just the way that they described this, like, how do you describe an early fighting game without just saying it's a fighting game? 'Cause we all know what a fighting game is at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What would you like call a Hadoken back in that?
Yeah,
that's magic.
Alex said it's magic.
Yeah,
That's a spell.
It's totally a spell. Like, it's a fireball.
No, it's not. It's Ryu.
I mean, yeah, that's a good point, though. And, like, you know, fighting game characters have, you know, what I was convinced. I'm like, oh, they're just like, they're playing up like an action RPG or something. Maybe it's a Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy Mystic Quest or something.
Yeah, like one of the sort of, you know, the like pseudo real time, that like pseudo real time kind of thing. And I'm like
Star Ocean or something.
So like, a fighting game. You can totally have lightning strikes, blasts, just all sorts of crazy shit just happens in fighting games. And it really isn't justified at all. It just is.
It's just part of the world.
Yeah, like, I don't know. So, that's a good question, though. Like, how do you describe a fighting game?
Yeah. All right, so the next one we're going to be looking at, this was not very long.
I think the answer is that you don't describe a fighting game.
Yeah, probably. Well, I mean, I also left out a decent amount of text. Like, one of the pieces that I would be obvious is play against a computer or a friend head-to-head. Like, okay, that's a fighting game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the next one.
I love how they're just like, Takara, video game division.
Yeah, it's not SNK. Takara.
but also like just video game division. That's not something anyone would put. Even though it's still a thing, like Microsoft has a video game division, they would not put that anywhere because it sounds stupid as hell.
Well, this is a Japanese developed game where Japanese developed things are developed by multi corporations, Konami Health Clubs. All right, so the next one now. If you're a Game Boy, TM, or NES registered trademark player, you're looking at the next big thing, because it all comes down to you versus a whole warehouse full of plumbing parts and the forces of chaos. But you've got 4 powerful weapons. Your right hand, your left hand, your right brain, and your left brain. What game is this?
Okay,
So it's something on the... Wait, so it says Game Boy and what was the other thing?
NES.
So it's Game Boy and NES.
I kind of feel like it sounds like plumbing parts. I'm like,
Yeah,
Mario game? Puzzle. I want to be like, was there a puzzle game? Or it's something silly. Like, did they ever release that, pipe game? Was there like a pipe game? Like,
Are you talking about Pipe Dream?
yeah.
You are correct. It is Pipe Dream.
It is Pipe Dream?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
I mostly choose this one because it's a really interesting ad, because it's also a sweepstakes.
I actually didn't know that Pipe Dream was on either the NES
Yeah.
or the Game Boy.
Makes sense. But
I only ever played it on a computer.
they straight up tell you to cut these other pieces of pipe out of your magazine to place them in this grid to complete a Pipe Dream puzzle to send them in for a sweepstakes.
Okay,
which I thought that was kind of awesome.
that's actually really cool.
I feel bad for whoever's on the backside of this ad because they're just gonna have little pieces cut out of them. But that's awesome.
Hey, listen, they paid for the centerfold spread. That's a 2-page ad.
Okay, this next one, I don't want you to name the game because what type of game is going to be very obvious. I want you to guess what console this game came out for.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we got a picture of a couple of people with gigantic plumber's cracks, and it says, finally, baseball without the chili dog farts. This is an ad for a video game that they want you to purchase, and this is what they're saying. So yeah, finally, baseball without the chili dog farts. That's all I'm going to give you. What system did this baseball game come out for?
I'm gonna say SNES.
Yeah, I feel like this is... I feel like the chili dog makes me think Sonic.
It does.
And so Nintendo throwing shade at Sega.
Yeah.
Is what
Nintendo throwing shade at
Okay,
Sega for
so
sure,
you're on the right
SNES.
track. Nintendo throwing shade at Sega. But this is obviously baseball for the Virtual Boy.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that one, you were not going to guess that one. I
Yeah.
put that one in just because this ad's silly.
It was the right era, though.
Yes.
Yep.
So, okay, I have 2 more here. One of them is for a game that you're not gonna... I don't think either of you know, so there's no way for you to guess it. But I just want to read it because it is some of the craziest ad copy I've read. Okay. In the year 2026, so we're getting close. Things get thugly when Bionic Gang Scumocide tries to take over the entire universe. Captain Commando and his posse, Babyhead, Ginzu the Ninja, and Mac the Knife
Hold on.
are up for the fight with a futuristic arsenal, including the Energy Glove, Rocket Knee, and subsonic knives. What does that mean? And huge moves like the Captain Kick, Flying Katana, and Rolling Punch.
Pretty much all knives are subsonic.
Alright, well, they got knives.
Like,
That's pretty good.
I cut some carrots, with a knife. That's subsonic.
Yep.
I'm moving subsonic right now.
I don't... Because you just straight up read out Captain Commando, I know it's not Captain Commando.
Well, no, it is Captain Commando.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. In this straight from the arcade hit, 1 or 2 players must commit scumocide or face the end of all existence. Like, what the hell? I love the fucking 90s, man. They're so extra. Okay, and the last one I have for you is...
Okay, so we're not going to see that one?
I mean, sure, I can pull it up for you.
Oh my
commit
God.
scumocide. Like, God, what the hell? All right, and this last one that I have.
This is ridiculous.
All right. Again, you can't really guess this because it's not a game, but now that you're tired of losing, cheat with Game Mage for the Super NES system, America's hottest new game enhancer. Unlike other, and this actually sounds sick, unlike other game enhancers, Game Mage remembers your games and codes. With the Game Mage, you can enter the correct code the first time you play and never again. Hundreds of codes already pre-programmed for you. More power, more speed, more weapons, infinite lives, jump higher, punch harder, start on any level. Works with all of the most popular games on the Super NES system. Call now for special introductory price. Because of course, mail order was a thing.
Yep.
Can't be buying this at stores. With the Game Mage.
Yeah, I mean, I had a Game Genie, and that thing was...
Awesome.
It was awesome, but yeah, it was finicky. Because,
Yes.
yeah, putting the codes in was annoying.
All I had was a Game Shark.
But the game...
A Game Genie, a Game Shark, and a Game Mage walk into a bar.
yeah.
The shark eats the other two.
So...
No, wait. It's like rock, paper, scissors. Shark eats Mage. Mage bottles Genie. Genie
wishes away
Shark. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. Now we just have to come up with elaborate hand signals for all three of those, and we got ourselves a game.
That's
That
right.
will endure for hundreds of years.
Okay,
or
but
however long the
but what do
when
you
was
got-
rock paper scissors invented?
But
That's
what
the
do you
question.
cheat? But what do you cheat at the game with?
You gotta like do it in secret, and then you in two separate rooms, and then you both run to the same room with your hand out.
The Game
So
Genie Mage Shark.
So you cheat by having a video camera in the other room. I don't know. I also like the logo with a crystal ball with some hands over it.
Oh yeah, that is that. That is what that is. I actually didn't realize they were hands.
I don't know. Mages,
They're very
crystal
pointy.
balls. It's more like fortune tellers is what I associate crystal balls with. But okay.
Yeah, me too. But hey,
All right. So that's attitude.
they called it the Game Mage, not the Game Fortune.
I've got like another whole set of terrible, awesome game ads that we can do. So this might be a regular segment on the podcast whenever I find the time to gather these and decide on that I want to have a little bit more work editing that into the video version
Will
of the
we
podcast.
have enough ads
Yes.
forever?
Not forever. But there's a lot of ads that we could have. So, a lot of these...
Just start digging up issues of like, oh man, what's that Japanese one? It's still going, isn't it?
Famitsu?
Yeah, Famitsu. Famitsu's still going, isn't it? Somehow.
Yeah.
Yep, still corrupt probably. That there's documented. I'm pretty sure there's documented cases of people paying for reviews in Famitsu, which is what people say about every gaming publication. But for that one's the one I believe the most.
Yeah.
I swear, some of the scores that some of those games got are ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's a conversation for another day. Now, if you've noticed, on old game ads, it'll tell you where to find these games. Well, you could find us 3 levels deep all over the internet because we've got our YouTube channel, which we're posting stuff on. You might even be watching this podcast on there. And if you are, you would have been able to see the ads themselves. And I'm going to commit to editing those ads into the segment, which is going to be a pain. You can also, email us and get your email read on air. If you got any questions for us, comments, feedback, you can send those into 3levelsdeep@outlook.com. And now we are going to wrap this one up and have a nice time.
Have a wonderful time.
There we go.
There we go.
Wrapping it up in a nice bow.